Okay, so the meeting will come to order. I have 7:01 p.m. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Cleveland High School PTA's monthly meeting. My name is Melissa Toledo. I am the Cleveland High School PTA president, and this is a senior. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us. And for those who can't make it, we're recording tonight's meeting and it'll be posted on our YouTube channel, CHS PTA. And for attendance, please sign your name in the chat and let us know how you're connected to Cleveland. Today is Wednesday, February 16, 2022. We will start our meeting with the principal's report. We'll follow that with discussions on funding student leadership and sponsoring a new Cleveland Stadium sign. Then we'll get down to business with reports and various PTA projects. It's going to be a full meeting tonight, and the link to the agenda can be found on our events page on our website at chspdx.org/events. Or maybe the link will pop up in our chat at some point and you can follow along that way. And as always, if you have questions, write them in the chat and our volunteers will pass them on to me. We, the Cleveland High School PTA, are very fortunate to have the opportunity to serve our school, but we can use more help. Due to many issues like the pandemic, our membership numbers are down. But we still have all our amazing programs that we need to provide for. Programs like our teacher grants, our new student organization grants, our principal's discretionary fund, which this year we used to purchase a water distillation system for our science department. How awesome was that? We also still have the senior graduation party and the weekly e-news and countless other projects throughout the year that we engage in to support Cleveland and hopefully make life a little more enriching for our students and staff. Funding for the Cleveland High School PTA comes from membership dues and community donations. So if you haven't already, please take a moment and join the Cleveland High School PTA. The year's not over yet, and we still got lots going on, including planning for our Spring Fundraiser and the senior graduation party. And all are welcome. Membership into our fun club is just $25. So go to oregonpta.org/membership. And if you want to help, but don't necessarily want to join, that's okay too, and actually pretty great. Just go on over to our donations page at chspdx.org/donate. Now, I'd like to introduce the principal of Cleveland High School, Joanne Watkins. We thank Principal Watkins and her team once again for their service to our children and appreciate her taking the time to come to our meeting tonight. Okay, Principal Watkins.
All right, good to see everyone again. And yes, this is, here's my office. So I have, here's the warriors I have behind my chair here that you can always see when I'm on the online meeting. So I like that. So I did just recently send out a principal's update and I encourage you to read it. One of the things I highlighted were some changes with our schedule. So for second semester, students will have more flex periods. And flex period is that time where students can go and see any teacher from whom they need help. It also is a time where we can have special resources available for students. So for example, our counselors were available today to help students with forecasting. Sometimes we have college visits here, et cetera, and our flex has been moved to the end of the day. Our calendar is updated on our website, as well as you can get all the updates on Tribury. And the Tribury app, I put that link again in the principal's update that I just sent out. March 2nd, we're going to have a special day. It is a social emotional learning day. I'm super excited about this day. When I had the student forum, I shouldn't say I had the student forum, when the students actually put together a student forum to let administration know their concerns and some of the things they wanted to highlight about their experience at Cleveland. One of the things they highlighted is having access to more mental health resources. And so on that day, March 2nd, students will be at the school from 8:30 to 11:30 only. So it's about a half day for the students. And we're going to have an all-day mental health conference. I'm going to call it a conference, and students will have a choice of sessions. I'm looking at my whiteboard right now from being hosted by many of our community partners and our student clubs. And so they'll be able to learn more about consent culture, Title IX, racial equity, the role of confidential advocates. We'll have men's mental health. I'm trying to say like team building skills, organizational skills, and a lot of the planning is being done by our Mental Health Advocacy Club, which is a student club that is advised by Michelle Hardaway, who is our social worker. And this is a wonderful group of students. And I'll tell you one thing, you put students in charge of events, they know what's what. They have a lot of contacts and they're very organized, and the students are really motivated. They've already designed a fantastic flyer to advertise it to students, but know that students do come to school March 2nd on that day. Bell will be ringing at 8:30, and then we'll have that special day for them on March 2nd. Day will be over for students at 11:30, and the rest of the day will be for teacher planning time and working and collaboration time. And let's see, what else have we got going on? We have a lot of celebrations going on. We have a lot of celebrations going on here. So I'll start maybe with athletics, because I am going back to the girls basketball team. They were highlighted in the Oregon Live, and in particular, our senior forward, Sadie Klopel, and I hope I pronounced her last name correctly. And our girls basketball team is on fire. We're still in district play, but we should be making it into the playoffs. And we've already posted more wins than we ever have since 2015. And Coach Waiwaioli thinks that we could be having a record-breaking season with the most wins since 1999. So this is exciting. I'm going to go cheer our girls on against Ida B. Wells, and I know they're going to. And I'm ready. I'm ready to cheer. Kelly Cook, our athletic director, said, "Joanne, be ready to cheer." I'm ready. So pretty excited about that. And our boys basketball team as well is really, ranked in the top 10 of the state right now. So I think certainly we'll be heading to playoffs there too. And we still have some exciting contests going on in the next couple of weeks. We've had a swimmer qualify for state. I apologize, I don't know that swimmer's name because Kelly Cook didn't tell me the name yet. We have wrestling districts this weekend, and we'll find out which of our wrestlers are going to state. And so we'll be winding up, this is our winter sports season, and winding it up in a very successful way. Our band just was at the West Salem Jazz Festival, and I put that in my principal's update, and we placed third, and 6 of our students were recognized as outstanding soloists. They have another event coming up pretty shortly at Clackamas Community College, and they're fantastic. I have to say that our jazz ensemble is out of this world. So that's really exciting. I know that our robotics team, I got a wonderful invitation from them getting ready for competition in March. And I hope to join them on March, and JJ can correct me, I hope to join them on March 12th to cheer them on to victory. And that's a great group of students, and I'm happy that, and I checked in with one of them yesterday and I said, "How's it going?" They said, "Well, we still have some work to do, but good spirits. It's a wonderful group of students." And I want to thank the PTA last week. They did really just made our counselors feel so special for the National Counselor Appreciation Week. And the lunch that was the capstone on Friday was really very special too. So thank you so much. Our counselors, I'm going to say we have the best counseling team in the district. They work so hard for our students. They go above and beyond, and it was nice to have them pampered a little bit. So please, thank you for that. And they certainly thank you. And so we're starting our second semester pretty well. In fact, progress reports are actually already going to be coming out pretty soon, believe it or not. And so we're hoping that students are finding success. Many of the teachers have reported, students are the motivated for second semester. Sometimes I think it's almost spring, you can kind of feel it in the air. So it's wonderful and I'm glad that our schedule is going to allow more flex periods so students can get that support from the teachers that they need to be successful. And please encourage your students to use flex, even if it's just to go to the library and get started on that homework or get started on that paper, right? It's a great time for them to kind of get themselves organized. And in fact, on our March 2nd, one of the sessions that our students really want to have is a session just about how important organizational skills are, right? And how that can actually really help your mental health, because when you're organized and you know what's going on, that can help reduce anxiety. Anything that you can encourage your students to take advantage of the resources here, please do so. The other thing that's happening for principals, and I think a message should have already gone out to the community, is about staffing and budget for next year. So as we're in the second semester, I'm already having to think about, well, what's next year going to look like? We have at Cleveland High School received what's known as our staffing, and that is the number of FTE, which is full-time equivalent, like the number of staff that we'll have here next year. Portland Public Schools overall has seen a decline in student enrollment of 8%. That's a decline due to declining birth rates, different demographic changes that have happened actually since the pandemic. So, and how that affects school funding is that school funding is directly related to enrollment. And so I will say, though, that for Cleveland High School and most of the high schools in the district, our enrollment is flat. What that means is about the same. Next year is projected to be about the same next year as it is this year, which means that our staffing, the number of staff that we have here, will be about the same. But I want to add, though, we do get support, and I deeply appreciate the support that we receive from the foundation. So this current school year, we have received foundation funds to help support our growing CTE programs. And we really are seeing a lot of growth with our culinary arts and our business management. So that was a great support, but that support also happens just on a yearly basis. So I know Christine is on here. Thank you so much. It's really helped to serve our students well. We know that when students do that hands-on learning, and CTE, by the way, is career technical education. When students are involved in that hands-on learning and project-based learning, it is something that really engages them in school and helps them to be successful. And, for many students, they can see possibilities of career paths or things that they want to pursue after high school by being involved in our CTE programs. So, for the most part, yesterday, was it yesterday? Yes, it was yesterday when I met with staff, I was able to tell them that our staffing is steady, and we're not looking at any major cuts at Cleveland High School, which is really fantastic. We have a wonderful group of teachers here and wonderful programs and electives, and we want to be able to keep those programs and electives for all of our students. And so that's actually what I'm in the middle of doing, is working through all the numbers and working through actually already what next year's going to look like. And then I will also highlight that in my principal's update, I talked some more about student safety. I highlighted a very unfortunate incident that happened on TriMet that involved a hate crime, and as well as how the community can report about safety around the school. Melissa is intimately aware of the process, and we continue to work with not only the district security services, but with the city. I can tell you that the update I got today for the camp that's around our parking lot is that it is, how did they say, the city, it's pegged by the city for removal, and they'll let me know what the timeline is. But I put the links in there for reporting, as well as put the links in there again for Safe Oregon. And that's a great tool for students. They can report, anyone actually can report 24/7, any situation where a student is unsafe. And And I can tell you that that system is statewide, that those reports, I am alerted actually right away. And if the police need to be alerted, they are alerted right away. So that it's an easy way for people to report if they know, it can be anything from online bullying, things they're seeing on TriMet, concerns that they have about their friends. And sometimes it's easier for students to do that and then know that a caring adult is going to follow up right away. I really want students, not to hesitate to report when they see a situation that is unsafe. And certainly they can always talk to any adult in the building. And I think those were the major highlights. And hi, Coach Smith. I've already seen the design for the sign. It's really cool. Okay. I can stay on for a few questions, but then I will say I have to pop back to the basketball game.
Yeah, there's a game to go to. Does anybody have any questions for Principal Watkins? Anything you want her to follow up on? Are we good?
Yeah, I did, Melissa.
Okay, Dan, go on.
Yeah,
Dan.
this is Dan Mason. Thank you, Joanne, for the update and for all that you do. Well, I saw your email about the incident at TriMet, and what popped into my head immediately was a question about whether PPS had reached out directly to TriMet and kind of registered, I guess, a concern. And I know that we have this other avenue, but it seemed like it would be, it certainly wouldn't hurt if PPS, admin contacted TriMet and also, weighed in on this directly.
I've actually been in contact with the police that is in charge of the case and am coordinating with them and have reported it to the district. I have to say I have not reported it directly to TriMet, but it's been, and that's something I can look into.
Thank you, Joanne.
Oh,
Okay, that's great. Thanks. Good question, Dan. Anybody else? Okay. Thank you, Prince. Oh, wait, hold on.
Okay.
JJ.
I'm going to ask
JJ's
one
got
quick question
something.
so I don't have to email you. On
Okay.
March 2nd, they leave at 11:30. Can groups like, say, robotics, then use the rest of the day to work, because that's right before their competition?
oh yes, that's fine.
Okay.
But staff will be,
We'll
but
take with Barnes and make sure that he's not.
yes, staff is here. Like adults are still in the building. But yeah, we can certainly have student groups meet.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, Principal Watkins, go to the game.
Okay, I've got to go cheer on our girls basketball. And thank you again. Thank you so much, parent groups. For all your support. I can tell you that it touches my heart, and you're really making a difference for our students here.
Oh, thank you. Okay, go have fun. Go to the game. No more talking. That's awesome. Okay. So that's Principal Watkins. Next on our agenda will be a couple of discussions that the board will be able to vote on later in the meeting. Okay. First up is Cleveland leadership teacher Susie Brighouse. She's joining us so we may discuss the addition of a new student leadership budget line. Here's some history that Susie wrote for us. Class cabinets get money from ID card funds. However, leadership does not. We also have very little opportunity to fundraise for ourselves, as we are usually fundraising for the community, CHS Gives Back, or service projects, or any of the other clubs activities that the students in the class are involved in. The PTA has been an integral part in supporting our class by helping us out financially, either for supplies or to help offset costs for leadership conferences, camps that our students attend. So what we're gonna do is talk a little bit about the idea that Susie keeps coming back. right, for the same exact thing. Okay, so we're gonna have a discussion. The chair recognizes Cleveland leadership teacher Susie Brighouse.
Thank you again for having me today. And I just put a link into the chat from 2019 for budget costs of when I took students to Seaside for the Seaside. It's a fall leadership conference put on by our state organization, Oregon Association of Student Councils. They have a conference in the fall. They have a conference in the spring for student leaders, students that are involved in student government at their schools from around the state. And then there's also a camp in the summer and a winter energizer that's actually happening this weekend. I elected not to go. They're having their fall conference, which is usually in Seaside in the fall. They did a one day, I believe, virtual this fall. And so spring conference, which is coming up in April, they moved that to Seaside. However, with Portland Public Schools and COVID and just everything, I was like, I can't make plans to do that this year, but I'm hoping that we can continue to take kids to this conference starting up again next year. And so the projected cost that you're seeing there is what I would write up when I asked the PTA to help out many years. There was many years that the PTA has helped us out with funding. And you can see at the bottom, if you have it open, that it comes down to just really a couple things, helping out those students that can't afford to pay their own registration, but then trying to offset the costs for lodging and for food. And we also did a few fundraisers ourselves towards the beginning of the year when we have a chance to do the fundraising. However, most of the fundraising that we do during the year will go back to other needs, whether it's helping to pay for prizes or assembly equipment, or CHS gives back during the months of November, December. So our budget's pretty tight. And even though we have money in our account right now, I don't really consider that money that we spend on ourselves. It's usually money that goes back into the school in some way, shape, or form. So it's kind of early to be asking you for this, but it's something that I just want it to be on your mind. Because the PTA has been so generous to help us out with either supply costs or, cost to attend this event, that we're thinking about it so that when it comes up, hopefully next fall, it can be something that I can take the students to. And I know Christine is in here. Christine, I think the first year that we went was when Nick was a freshman.
Yeah.
And that was probably my second year.
Yeah, and I'm totally, I can't speak for PTA, but just as a mom and being involved, this is an amazing opportunity for our Cleveland leadership team to be involved in. And, Susie, you've done a great job at keeping this going, even with everything going on. And so, as a mom, I'm totally supportive of this, and I'm really hopeful that we can get it back in person in Seaside, because I know we've been to Costco and Warrenton a couple times, and so, like I said, I'm outside the realm here, but I just, as a parent, this is an amazing situation. So please, let's support it. Yay.
Is it would be like supplementing some money that you already have.
Yes.
Right? So we're not funding all of it. What you're doing is you're saying if we know that we have this amount at least, that would help tremendously. And we're talking about $1,000, right?
Yes. And I know that costs will go up, but that's when it needs to be back on us, where we need to look at, doing some things in the summer and making some money before we go on the trip.
Okay. Does anybody else have anything they would like to add to this discussion? Okay,
Melissa,
questions
Dan
for
here
Susie?
again.
Yes.
I guess.
Okay, Dan.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I like kind of the tone of kind of ownership and like like taking care of things yourself. So, I mean, I really like the idea of matching funds that you guys are out there, you know, taking the initiative to raise personally.
Thank you. And I will say too, our group works as partnerships. So when the foundation has their 5K run, I'm like getting students to help out with that. So I noticed, I heard you guys talking about your spring fundraiser. When it was the auction, whatever it is that we're play, because we have to work together. That's how everything works. So we would love to support you also.
That's awesome.
I love
This
hearing
is
that.
an amazing.
I love hearing that.
Yeah, no, you guys, this is an amazing thing. And how many years has this been going on in Seaside? I mean, we have a beach house in Seaside, Susie, you know that. Yeah. And so personally, I just feel like this is an amazing opportunity for the Cleveland leadership team to be part of. And if there anything we can get students back to being, you know, in person and really enjoying this event and getting revitalized, and anything that we can do for student participation and just that like Go Warrior situation, you know, I just, yeah, beautiful. I'm happy it's happening.
And I think we're all there. I think we're all there. I think we're all excited. And I think we're all happy to see the kids out there again, right? But
Yeah.
just to be clear, it's not this year.
Correct.
This year is not happening, right? It's already not happening. So what we're doing is we're forecasting.
Yes.
Right. So
Yes.
this will be a budget line that we need, quite frankly, we need to figure it out. So we're gonna talk a little more later because we need to talk about where the money's coming from, right? Because we can't just go poof, you know, and $1,000 appears, right? So,
Yes, I understand that.
so sometimes maybe it happens like that, but we have to talk about it. Okay, so
Well,
so Susie, thank you so much. I think anybody else? Okay.
Yeah.
Susie, I think
You know,
that's
Can I,
it now.
hey, it's
Oh,
Jenna.
wait,
Yeah,
oh, Jen.
can I just
Okay.
say that I think among the ways that we tout what PTA does with the funds that we raise, I feel like, and maybe I've just forgotten it, but I feel like we really haven't put too much out there about supporting leadership and how much circularity there is in so many ways with that. So just sort of note to self that when we talk about, well, why do you give money to the PTA? That's a really good one to keep out there.
Yes, student
Thank
leadership.
you.
I like that. You know, they're ready to get involved, and we should have, you know, more communication going. Okay, Susie, I think we're done. I think you're good. I know you said you had things you had to do tonight.
Thank you so much.
So thank you for coming by, and we'll keep you updated, right? I'll keep you posted on what we talk about later on.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you. Have a good night, Susie. Okay. All right, next up on our agenda is Cleveland head football coach, Trevor Smith. We're going to talk with Coach Smith tonight about sponsoring a permanent sign for the athletic stadium. And here's some history that Coach Smith wrote to us. He said, one of our coaches who works in another school district could produce a permanent mounted sign for the back of the press box that would be an upgrade to the painted sign. We would also need to work with facilities to get it installed. It would be 32 feet wide and 8 feet tall. And it would be great to have it for the spring sports. All right, so the chair recognizes football coach Trevor Smith, and remind us how much the sign is.
Good evening, everybody. So when we did the estimate, I think I put 1344. Coach Lown, which is one of our assistant coaches, he and I go way back. He is at Century High School in Hillsborough, and they have a CTE program that does everything from CNC manufacturing, 3D printing to poster making, sign making, and everything else. And so I've sort of roped him into doing quite a bit of stuff for us, even though I'm out here at Cleveland. He still does it for me. And so we were kicking the idea around of this, and I said, well, how much would it actually cost? And he told me, and I went, I don't know how we're going to do that. And then when I proposed it and you guys said, hey, we're interested in it, I was like, this is fantastic. So I sent Melissa a preliminary design. And one of the things that Mr. Lown will freely admit is that he is not a designer. He is more the maker. And so he and I both laughed when I asked for a little bit of feedback from Melissa, and within like 20 minutes, she sent me this beautiful design. And I sent it to him and he goes, yeah, maybe I need to get out of the design business. So Melissa, we really liked your design. And I don't know how to share it with everybody because technology really isn't my big thing either. So if that becomes part of the discussion, I personally like the bigger, bolder version that took up more of the space. We'll go out and measure and just to make sure, but my first rough estimate of dragging a tape measure out was 32, and then the panels come in 4x8 sheets. And so when he creates it, it'll be 8 sheets wide. It is going to be interesting how we mount it and what the district allows us to do. There was a little suggestion as I was talking to one of the teachers. He said, well, we just got a lift. He goes, I know how to put the board up and we can mount it. And I was like, let's try and do it kind of officially in case something goes wrong. But the idea is that this permanent sign, if you haven't been to the stadium lately, it's a little run down. The back of the stadium is faded paint. And so this would be pretty bright and vibrant. And when you walk in the stadium, boom, it's right there in your face. And it would be fantastic. It kind of goes along with, I see several people that are in different groups. On March 12th, we're doing a spring clean at the stadium. And so we thought as the kids roll into spring sports that it would be fantastic to spruce up the stadium, clean it up, have a brand new sign that kind of reinvigorate some of our athletic programs. And when kids come to the stadium and have, some school pride and everything else. We did this project at Century High School out in Hillsborough, and it was smaller, but the sign has been up for probably 4 or 5 years now. Nobody sprayed any graffiti on it or anything else, and so it looks good. And so this is going to be, it's going to be 8 feet tall and 32 feet wide, so it is going to stand out quite a bit on the back of the stadium. So I'm just I was, for lack of a better word, I was shocked that anybody was willing to even take this project on. And I thought it would be one of those things maybe down the road. So this is fantastic. But I guess if anybody has any questions or comments or.
Did that work? Did you guys see it? Okay. I wasn't sure if it worked or not.
Definitely.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? Well,
Melissa, I have a question
yes.
again.
Go on, Dan.
So what would be the sequence of this project? I mean, it would seem like we would need to make sure that the district is going to allow us to put up the sign, and I don't know if there's going to be a cost associated with it for the time and materials that would be incurred by Portland Public Schools. So I guess I'm just thinking that maybe that might be part of this kind of developing a plan here and a budget.
That would be the next step. So again, we just kind of came up with the idea, and when we talked to Joanne about it, she was like, oh yeah, that looks great. And again, it was just, hey, let's just kind of put this together to see how it flows. And then to be honest, you all have moved very fast on this. And so we haven't necessarily got to that part of the district being able to put it up or us figuring out a way to get it put up. My hope was that every time that there's a problem or an issue that comes up with, whether for us for football, that we've had amazing parents go, yeah, I know how to do that. Or I know somebody that can do that. So, if there is somebody that could help us with that, that would be fantastic. But my job tomorrow, if you say yes, is to work with Miss Cook, our athletic director, and Rob, our custodian, to figure out how we write that work order and how we can get that done and how fast we can get it done.
Sounds good. Thank you.
That's great. I'm glad you like the design, and now that you've told me you like the first one, I can totally tweak it up a little bit more for you, get those letters the way they're supposed to be. But you tell me for sure after we, make this official. We'll talk a little bit more about that.
Okay, and you might find yourself a little bit in the t-shirt design business, because when I first started, they made t-shirts for us for this retreat that we did, and I'm looking, after I saw the whole graphic design layout and everything else, I thought, we're not even close. So I had to pass it on to the people who make the t-shirts.
Yeah.
And said,
No,
we should follow the designs.
That's great. We got some superpowers around here, and graphic design is one of them. So I mean, I'm personally, I think it would be amazing to have the design on the stadium, and to know that we helped with that.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
yeah. All right. Anybody else have any more questions for Coach Smith? All right, Coach. Thank you for stopping by tonight. And we'll talk more tomorrow, and I'll let you know what we discuss here.
Okay, great. Thank you,
Excellent.
everybody.
Thank you.
Have a good night. All right, everyone. Those are our discussions. And so now we're going to get down to PTA business. Okay, the first order of business is approval. So the secretary drafted the minutes of the January 19, 2022 meeting had been previously distributed. Are there any corrections to the minutes as distributed? If there are no corrections, the minutes are approved as distributed. Thank you. Okay, the next order of business is our treasurer's report. The chair recognizes our co-treasurers, Dan Mason and Nicole Chavez.
Hi, everyone. Let me do a little screen sharing, and once you enable that for me, Melissa.
I thought I had it for you.
Says it's disabled right now.
Advanced sharing options. Okay.
Okay,
now
there we
try it.
go. There we go. Thank you. Okay. Share away. So I think you guys are seeing kind of the profit loss on our year-end appeal. And so we wanted to share that with everyone. Total of a little over 4,000 was raised. This year, we have a small amount of fees that we pay for processing donations by the various platforms that we use to collect. And then we had a cost of a little over $1,100 for 2 mailings of about 1,600 appeal postcards. And we split the cost of those mailings with the foundation. We each paid for 1 mailing. And so at the end of the day, we had raised a total of net of the mail costs and the processing fees, a little over $2,700, which we split so that the foundation got half and we got half. We collect all the money from the platform Give Lively and Stripe. And so in order to true up with the foundation, we wrote them a check for $1,950. So anyway, the bottom line is that we had a net profit or a positive outcome of our year-end appeal of almost $1,400. So I think that is a nice achievement And I think last year we raised somewhere like 800. So we're going in the right direction. So congratulations to everybody who was involved in that effort. I'm going to move on, Nicole, and just kind of highlight a couple of things. So what you're looking at here, let me reshare. See if I can do that. New share, finding my way around. Okay, here we are. Okay, so this is kind of our P&L, our treasurer's report through the end of January. And I want to, just kind of highlight a few areas here on this report. This is our fundraising, membership fundraising totals. So year to date, we've raised $16,563.38. Our budget for fundraising is $37,000. So we're still looking at bringing in another $20,000 to the PTA this year. Hopefully we're going to have a very successful spring event and, other miscellaneous donations. Let's see, then moving on down here on the expense side, I just wanted to highlight, and Melissa, you kind of touched on these earlier today in the introduction, that we have a couple of programs which we're in the process of rolling out funds for, and so on the grants and program funds, which includes things like the student groups, the student affinity, we still are looking to fund another $18,000 of programs. And then on the senior party, we still are looking at having to fund that. And so that's really the bulk of our, I guess, going forward expenditures for the rest of the year. We're talking about a total of about additional $43,000 we'll be spending before the end of the year. So that is that. And let me move on here. And I think I'm going to skip to, if I can find it. I don't know if you guys are seeing it. It's frustrating. It shares it with you, but it doesn't share it with me. Let's try that again. Okay. And boom. Boom. Oops. I'm going to get there. Okay, now I can see it. So that's nice. This is something we've been doing just to kind of show you the progression of our fundraising and programmatic funding efforts throughout the year. We started off with beginning funds available of a little over $48,000, and we've have a budget where we're projecting raising $37,000 and spending almost $64,000. So at the year end, June 30th of this year, we're projecting a year-end total bank balance, if we remain on budget, of almost $22,000. And you can see there really was not a lot of spending the last few months. I think we have these the affinity clubs and the student groups funding that's out there, and I think once we start writing checks for that, I think this also, what you're seeing here is there's still some checks that are in transit to the bank, and that's going to increase our fundraising total. At the same time, there's some of those funds need to be passed through to other groups like the Transit to Trails Club and the Pig Mice Robotics Club. So I think this is pretty much our report for the month. Nicole, do you have anything to add?
Yes, I do. And I'm sorry if I missed the beginning of your report. I have a infant that was screaming in my ear. So I'm sorry if a little bit of this is repetitive. So we've made deposits, and I did get those made, a total of $3,657.66. That's from the Oregon PTA memberships and the school pay PTA memberships as well. And then we had 2 checks from Kroger for donations, which is amazing. That's everybody who has their Fred Meyer card linked to Cleveland High School. And then we also got a $100 donation from a work match, which was fantastic. I did cut a check for the pass-through for Pig Mice, and there's also the check that's been cut and is still sitting at the school waiting to be picked up for the foundation for the year-end appeal. And then in some other news, we are waiting for our deposit to come through from Big Owls. I believe Colette would have to verify for us, but I believe it was about $900 we were looking to get back. I got an email from the school's bookkeeper, Jennifer Walker, today that it did come in, but it is addressed to Cleveland High School and not the PTA. So that's going to have to be addressed and be corrected, but that will be some more money coming in as well. And that, while it's not really income, it is money that we should already have. So that will be just added to our bottom dollar as well. And then I think you are right that the only real expenses we have left right now until we do our big events are going to be the student clubs and affinity groups. And I think that's about it. Yeah, that's everything on my list. Any
Thanks,
other questions?
Nicole.
Well, thank you, Dan. Thank you, Nicole. Anybody have any questions for our treasurers while we have them here? All right, Dan, you can stop sharing your screen now.
You think I can, huh? I don't know. It doesn't want
Very
to.
good. Thank you. All right. Very good. Okay, well, that's our treasurer's report. Thank you guys again. I mean, that's a lot of work. That's a lot of work. All right. So next on our report is our membership. So the chair recognizes our membership coordinator, Carolyn Choi.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Melissa. I don't really have anything new to report. We're still at the same number of members as we were last month. So.
Do you have anything planned to work on membership? I mean, what can we do here? I mean, is there a plan or?
So I think that, I mean, at this point in the year, the only way I can think of that we might be able to gather some new members is when information goes out in the e-news about things that we have spent funds on, that might be a place to plug it, but I don't know, it's February.
Yeah. What about in person? Oh, Janet, hi Janet.
Yeah, hey, I'd love to do a mid-year report, just dovetailing to the last comment about leadership. I'd love to do a mid-year report on what PTA has funded, really short, just bullet points, and make that a call out to be part of the effort. And, this distinction, the words were nice about whether you donate or join as a member, it's all good. And I always have trouble distinguishing between those. So it's just in whatever way you jump in and help. But I would love just to put out a short, concise, this is what we've done with it so far. That's my 2 cents.
Yes, exactly, because we do a lot. And so, talking about it, I think is a great tool, having those words out there. That's why I said it, so now the words are there and everybody can come back and be informed. All right. Okay, Carolyn, I don't think the year is over yet. I think that there's still opportunity to get members. I think we just got to be creative, get in front of people now that the games are on again. That's kind of a traditional way, right? Get in front of people. All right. Okay.
Oh, can I add
Susan.
something?
Hi, sorry to interrupt. I was going to say full disclosure, as a non-member, I'm attending the meetings, but I'm not a member. I agree. I don't think it's too late. I have a middle schooler and a high schooler, and I've kind of just now finding some time to get involved again, trying to attend both PTAs and Jedi groups. And I think it would be helpful for people to have a reminder of like, hey, this is what the PTA has accomplished so far this year. Your membership dollars can count towards, helps out. Every little bit helps. Oh my God, I sound like an NPR reporter. And also mention, I think, the new grants that are being awarded to the affinity groups and clubs. I learned about that through attending the parent equity group just recently. I didn't know about that. So I think that's wonderful. So that's something, I'm guessing it's brand new. So I think that's something to announce. So anyway, I'll just put that out there.
Awesome. Do you get e-news, Susan? Do you see that? Do you know what the e-news is?
I do, and I that's one thing I look for. It's helpful, and it's hard to balance like Solwood. Usually it's the principal where I'm hearing news, and then I keep expecting to hear things from the Cleveland principal, but I forget it's usually mostly e-news where I'm going to hear things. So again, just trying to there's a lot of information coming at me. But yes, e-news, great.
Yeah, we totally rock it on e-news. And if you join us on our Instagram, we do a lot of reposts on there. So it's kind of like a one-stop shopping, because we like to brag about, what's going on at the school. So that's also another way to keep up to date with like things that are happening like in the now, But thank you for that, Susan. That's great feedback. I think we're gonna move on now. And our next report is our volunteer update. And so the chair recognizes our volunteer coordinators, Christy Oliver and Lucretia Lyons.
Hey everyone, I'm representing here tonight for Christy and myself. Hopefully try to get these in order. I can't promise they are, so apologies in advance. But just running down the list here on our most recent volunteer activities, I think all of which went swimmingly well. Nice to hear Principal Watkins give a shout out to the Counselor Appreciation Week, which I know made the team very happy. Robin, where's your square? There you are. Thank you also for joining in on that. This year, it kind of came upon us quickly. It was the first year we had done it. It was an internal request from the team for the do this for the counseling staff. Our goal would be, we can certainly decide on this at a later date since we now have another year. Goal would be to make Counselor Appreciation Week similar to Teacher Appreciation Week. So it's, people sign up to bring different dishes and everything. Christy, Robin, and I handled it for the week, and it was great. Pretty easy peasy, pastries, coffee, balloons, and a nice lunch at the end. So we were happy to, pay for that out of pocket. But anyway, so maybe that's on the docket for next year. Handle it like the Teacher Appreciation Week with a separate team. Clothing closet, from what I hear, went really well on Monday. I don't know if anyone here was involved in that. I guess the only thing that's a little bit of a shame, apparently the clothing closet is just bursting at the seams with clothing that's being donated, because it's not, it's not open to the general public like it usually is. But anyway, we did have some very engaged and helpful volunteers for that. Also, Colette, thank you for being a part of the Athletic Hall of Fame event. Jan was really just delighted with the extra set of hands there. So, and from what I hear, the event was fantastic. So what was that, the February 4th or so, right? So the campus greeters, as you see, we're trying to make that be the most exciting volunteer opportunity on the planet. And who doesn't want to be standing there welcoming our students every morning? So that is what has happened. As far as what is coming up, nearest term needs, the stadium cleanup. Melissa, thanks. I know that you guys got something in the e-news about that. I think we're going to put together a sign-up sheet there. So that's coming up, or, a sign-up genius thing there so we can link and people can sign up for it. There is the tea at for the Rose Festival. From what I hear, I know this has been dormant for a couple of years, so we're trying to gather some more information on that. The senior party.
Can we stop for a second?
Absolutely.
Because I was talking with Christy earlier about the tea ceremony itself, and what we wanted to do was to ask anybody here at this meeting if they have experience with the actual party itself, because they're trying to figure out logistics. And it's like, who actually puts together the party? Are they doing it? Did the PTA do it? So who
For the
here?
tea?
Yeah, for the actual tea. Has anybody here? Anybody have any information on that?
I'm sorry, what was it? I'm sorry.
Oh wait,
had to
Amy,
deal with
do
something
you
else.
have some information on the tea party?
It's, this is one of those like Cleveland traditions that Colette chime in here. This is, the tea was always a surprise to me as a PTA leader, like, wait, what? We're doing what? And so I just want to yes, and 2 years later, the tradition continues. It is for the nominees of, do we call them ambassadors or princesses now? I forget. And it's a recognition. Usually it happens in the lounge or someplace in the school where it's just a nice, more formal recognition of their opportunity. I would say some people who would know more within the school would be Jan, Laura, and connecting with them, and then finding a few volunteers who would like to help with a day of event, making something special in honor of the potential Cleveland ambassadors / princesses for the Rose Festival.
And is there
Does it involve their parents too, I think, and their families?
So it's like it's a tea party
little
for
reception.
about 12 to 15 people. There's
Yeah.
a little blurb about it in last month's minutes because Lorena
talked about it.
linked about it. So I think I covered how many people will be there, but maybe I cut that out, but I have it in my notes still if I need it to find it.
Okay, I apologize for not being and is it like a prince and a princess from each school or something, or?
Oh no,
Rose
Lucretia,
Festival.
sorry, it's a
I
Rose
have like this
Festival.
Rose Festival thing is just very strange
so
to me. I don't know.
I believe based on last month, there are 3 people nominated to be Rose Festival princesses for Cleveland High School. So
Okay.
if you think of the 3 nominees and their potential parents or supporters, that puts you at about 9 to 12 people. And it's basically just a nice little get together.
So I'm gonna say this, Lucretia, if you want to know more about the party itself, we actually recorded last month's meeting and it's on our YouTube page, and we had a discussion on the Rose party, right? Laura Wesner came and she spoke to us and she told us all about it. So I know
Okay, great. I will go do that. I
details are there.
apologize. I don't mean to repeat any discussion. And all right, awesome. I look forward to learning all about. We moved here from New Orleans, so I don't know. This Rose Festival should fit right into the whole Mardi Gras season. Sounds fabulous. Also, I think the 2 main things going on: the fundraising, the Spring Fundraiser. Melissa, do you want a sign up genius page for that? We had included it in the e-news with the link just to the volunteer email address for people to raise their hands if they were interested. We're still looking for others for the fundraiser.
Yeah, the two big events coming up are the spring fundraiser and the auction. Are we even calling it an auction anymore? Are we
yeah.
dropping the auction? Are we just calling it spring fundraiser? Maybe this year is the spring fundraiser. Yeah, so the spring fundraiser and the graduation, those are like,
yeah,
and the lunch, the other activities, right?
Right.
But
right.
yeah, but we can talk more about the actual verbiage for that. But I do think having those posts, keeping them in the e-news is a good idea.
Okay. Yeah. I wasn't sure where we stood with people, confirming being part of the committee and all of that for the fundraiser. So, yep. And then the senior party, again, Colette, thank you. I know that you're sort of spearheading that, and we're just on standby if you need us to do anything to support you. And that about covers it.
Does anybody have any other volunteer needs that we didn't discuss? Okay,
Can I
Colette?
make a comment? I just was remembering that the spring sports teams have been called to help out with the spring cleanup at the stadium as well. So just kind of keep that in mind, that there'll be students around, and like the whole track team is supposed to be there. I mean, not the whole team, but you know what I mean? So.
I wanted to add something about the clothing closet, because I did go to that volunteer gig, and it was like so cram packed with clothes, and they were just chucking clothes in the bins. And normally kids get to come through with their parents and pick out things. But they did ask that we put something in our PTA newsletter, or, the e-news, to plug it, and that if anyone has any need, they can get a request from the counselor, and the counselor can make an appointment. But hopefully, I mean, I don't see how moms can pick clothes for teenagers, so hopefully the kids could actually go soon. So that's all.
Were there students there at all, or were you just dealing with parents?
Yeah, that's what I always heard, is that it was supposed to be a really fun thing to do because kids love to go there. And so I wore my rabbit shirt. I was all ready to see some kids, and no kids. It was just like hanging clothes on hangers endlessly and chucking them in bins to go to Goodwill. So I think there's a lot of need too. So it's really unfortunate. So maybe we could add a little plug in to the.
So why can't kids go right now?
The virus rates, but I think that might be changing.
They go, yeah, okay.
Because of like how they do, like making sure who's in what building at what time and what space and all that stuff. So they're not allowing kids in.
I thought I heard that Cleveland High School has some kind of closet like that, that the alumni club has something in Cleveland. So why couldn't we like grab some clothes and bring them back to Cleveland instead of like having, bring the mountain to Muhammad kind of thing,
It definitely feels like could be some kind of solutions for getting that to.
There's always solutions, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
JJ might want to jump in here, but in the past, Cleveland has had its own little pantry / closet, and has requested very specific donations, winter coats, some basic clothing items. Somebody from the Alumni Association did a drive, and honestly, I was a little concerned that their ask was too broad, that in the past, when I've worked with the social worker to share with the community what was needed, it was pretty narrowly defined just based on her experience of what kids needed and would wear. So there are two different efforts. I've never heard of a, grab some things from the clothing closet to put in the CHS social worker managed space, but I think that's an interesting idea.
I think that really is a great idea, especially if we have clothing overload. Okay. So what do we do with this information? What's next with this? I mean, does somebody want to write some letters? Who's going to write the e-news blurb? Who would like to do that?
Wait, is there anyone who has connection with Michelle Hardaway? I mean, when it was Kate, I used to communicate a lot with Kate, but I communicated way less with Michelle. Does anyone have a connection with Michelle?
I do by association. My daughter TAs for her. My daughter's in charge of the Mental Health Awareness Club, or one of the leaders, and she's a TA for Miss Hardaway. So I'm happy to ask her what the needs specifically are at Cleveland. I do think that I can appreciate, and I haven't been to the space of the caring closet is what it's called. And there's food and some clothing and items. I think just broadly bringing clothes from the clothing closet there is probably not the answer, because I don't think there's a space for it, and it just makes assumptions about who needs what and who likes what, and that just feels like a super slippery slope to me personally. I think the bigger question is when are we going to make the clothing closet available once again to students who are all in the district wearing masks, doing what they're supposed to be doing day in and day out. So I feel like that is, I'd rather, and I don't know, I'm happy to send an email and find out what the status of that is on a district level. I'm happy to do that. And also looking right there to Ailey, who is saying changes are coming soon. So maybe if we just know that that's happening, we can kind of hang tight on that piece. But I'm also more than happy to have Fiona talk to Ms. Hardaway to see what her thoughts are about if there's any sort of partnership that we can create between the caring closet and the clothing closet. If that's that.
Yeah, that would be great, because yeah, that would be awesome.
Okay.
It might be prudent next year to take a visit out to the clothing closet, before we make a donation to it, because there's certainly a lot of worthy causes. And if that one is suffering clothing overload, it seems like the money might be better spent elsewhere.
Well, I volunteered at the clothing closet when my daughters were in elementary school, so I haven't been there in quite some time. I also think it would be worth knowing what our donation is covering, because I think there's probably a lot of needs to maintaining that don't involve the actual clothes. So I'm not sure our donation is funding clothing. I think it might be funding, I don't know, but I don't know that maybe they're buying like new underwear and new socks, which I would be all for continuing to donate for that, because I'm sure, Amy, you were just there, like the things that are coming in aren't all what, I think there are some items that new socks and underwear, bras, etc. If that's what they're using the money for. Anyway, we could find out what the money's going for, what our donation is contributing to at the closet. And I'm happy to do that as well.
Yeah, no, they do. They buy all new underwear, and I think they also buy new pants. To a certain degree, they have used pants as well, but they make sure kids get, we filled 2 bags too, only that day that I was there. But they get new underwear, new pants, new shoes, and things like that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, and I think it's like $750 that we give them, right?
Yeah, but I don't think it's a thing that we shouldn't donate to. I think it's something we should continue. It's simply because of these rates that kids haven't been able to come in the building, but they will be back. So I don't think it's a matter of like, oh, it's totally still a good cause. It just would be nice if people could get there.
Yeah. I really do think if Ailey just said changes are coming, she's an inside source. I believe you. I think, we need to recognize that we are all still meeting over Zoom. Things are not totally back to normal. And so let's hang tight on the PTA closet. And in the meantime, I didn't volunteer, but that would be my recommendations. We do nothing drastic right now about it. And I will check with Ms. Hardaway, with Fiona, to talk to Ms. Hardaway about if there are specific needs at Cleveland that we can connect with the PTA closet to support.
Are the food backpacks still happening? Does anyone know?
I don't know the answer to that. I don't know.
I'm sure this is probably
Oh.
like not going to be well received, but I guess I don't think that ensuring that our that the funds we're providing are still serving a useful purpose is anything drastic at all. I think that that's something we should always be doing. And it doesn't mean that the fact that we're asking doesn't mean that we're denying. It means that we're verifying, that the need still exists, and then we can support it.
I agree. There's nothing wrong with fiscal responsibility. Okay. Let's move on with this discussion because we still have a few more things that we got to discuss. Okay. Hopefully this one will be quick, but I want to discuss it anyway. So our next report is on weekend warriors. The chair recognizes Robin Springer. Hi, Robin.
Hi, how are you doing?
Good.
Good. So, I mean, spring is coming up, so we're gonna start doing a little bit more to get the school looking good, particularly with the trash and stuff like that. And Trisha let me know that Jan Watt indicated that there's an area that needs paint as well. So as we get into drier weather, we'll schedule a time to do that. But for now, we're just gonna put some dates on the books and hopefully get some volunteers out there. Okay.
There you go, Lucretia. Volunteers. You got that. They're coming. Weekend warrior. Here they come. Thank you. Thank you, Robin. Can't wait to see that volunteer post. Okay. The next report is so exciting. Is from our student clubs and affinity groups grants. The chair recognizes our board member, Leslie Casa, and our treasurer, Nicole Chavez.
Hello, guys. Can everybody hear me? Great. Okay, so everything we got 5 at the very last minute, and we even got 1 today. But we got 7 applications for clubs. And then I don't have much to say about the affinity groups other than to tell you what they were, because I'm not in the loop about that. That's with the Vice Principal Murray. So
I can tell you something. I have an email from him.
Okay, well, let me get going with this.
Yeah, you do your first and then I'll follow you.
Okay, so so the one we got was from the Pig Mice team. Those folks are asking for $250, and it seems like a really good, a great application, by the way. And they're asking $20,000 you guys spend. Wow, that's a lot of money. 250 seems so tiny against that. But it's for supplies. What?
It all adds up.
Yeah, I bet it does. So it's basically for supplies. So I say they're asking for robot batteries, electric parts, teen t-shirts, and I guess metals, woods, and plastics, which they'll use for their robots. And there's 50+ kids in the team. So seems like a good one for me. Any questions? I just have what's on the. Anybody got any questions about that one? Is that a thumbs up for the Pig Mice?
No questions.
All right. So that's a yay to the Pig Mice. I'll put a check on that. So the next one is the leadership, advanced leadership. So advanced leadership is asking, their application is pretty wide ranging. It goes from 281, very specific, to 408. And I think they're basing that on the, what they want to do is they want to buy games for the kids to play. So they're also, I know there was some question about somebody asking, I think it was you asking about supervision about the game. So they're asking to get a, let's see, they've got a Jenga game. They've got, well, they've got, I'll put, did you guys, anybody take a look at them, the applications on the, on Slack? So basically they're looking at purchasing 1, 2, 3, 4 different games through Amazon. They did the pricing through Amazon. And so one of them is Spike Ball, the other one is Jenga, one is Connect for, and the fourth is cornhole. And they want to put these things out during the kids' free time, and someone is promised to supervise so that these things don't get left outside. So I think the only thing I'm looking for is I'll contact Susie to find out so that we get volunteers to make sure the games go back to where they're supposed to go and be safe and not left out. But the wide ranging, the 281 to 408 is still a question mark. So I need to get a clearer answer on exactly how much money they're asking for. But once I get the answer for that, we can approve or not. I put it in the budget anyway. Right now, we're looking at a total with all the applications for the clubs at $1,916. So $1,916 is the total for everything right now. So we're under $3,000 budget.
What do you think, Leslie, about encouraging the games to be bought locally instead of through Amazon? Like,
Sure,
I know in Selwood we have a game store here.
Mm-hmm. I think that's great. So I'll add that to shop local.
I will add that
Very
these
good,
games are
Dan.
not your standard games. They're like the large ones, and the large Jenga that's on Amazon is a lot more affordable than having it made locally. So it's possible that having these ginormous games made locally might be a lot more expensive.
Well, we can look into that, right? Maybe we can split it. Whatever we can get locally. I mean, we can probably get the cornhole locally. That's probably
Well,
not
maybe it's a
smart.
bad idea. I mean, it's easy to use Amazon, but it's just something that
Well, they all
occurs.
come in, maybe they'll all come in at the same time. They can all get ordered at the same time. We've got one invoice instead of 2 or 3 or 4. So
Now that they know they got the money, they can go shopping and get the best price.
exactly.
That's why
So-
they have that range there, right? So
Right.
tell them to go shopping, get the best price and make it happen. All right,
Okay.
what else we got? What else we got, Leslie?
All right, next, we've got the Period Club. So they're asking for $185 to put menstruation stuff in all the in the bathrooms at Cleveland. Do we say yes to that? Yes to the Period Club. Okay, great. Next is the Zine Club. This is a really great application too. So they've got a whole bunch of members and they're growing. And they want to use the money for one of 2 things. One will be they'd like to get into Crafty Wonderland to actually sell their zines. And to get a table at Crafty Wonderland is going to cost them $195. They're asking for $200. If they get into Crafty Wonderland, they'll have $5 left over. If they don't, then they'll be using it for all sorts of stuff to create zines. I think it's fantastic. So $200 is a small amount of money. Thumbs up on that one.
What are they creating?
Zines. Z-I-N-E, zines.
Oh, whatever. Okay.
Do you know what those are?
I'll Google it.
Google it.
They're
You're
graphical.
You've got a
They're
high
like-
schooler. You should know what a
they're like-
zine is.
They're like these graphical magazines. They're short,
Exactly. They're
graphic.
graphic magazines.
They're like graphic
like
novels that
comics.
they make.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
All right.
Very cool. Very cool.
Very cool. And the next one is for the Cleveland Mental Health Advocacy Group Club. They're asking for $200 for basically supplies. And it'd be great if we could get this to them because they're about to have that event in March. So we can help them pay for the equipment that they're going to need. They're looking for materials to make the flyers, supplies, and also some foods to buy to put out for the event. So they've pretty much broken it down: materials, glues, markers, etc., colored paper, and snacks for where they'd be holding these events, and that's $200. Yay? Okay. Next one is the National Honor Society. So what they're asking for here is $500, and they're asking it to basically, It costs money. It costs about $75 to join the National Honor Society. And what they'd like to do is eliminate that expense for kids that can't afford it. So what do you think, guys? I say it's great,
Yeah,
right?
hard to believe it exists in the first place.
Yeah. What, the National Honor Society?
No, the fee.
Oh, the fee. I
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
It's
that's-
pricey.
That's pretty hefty.
That's very
expensive.
hefty, right?
It should be like $25.
Yeah, what does the $75 cover?
Right.
Who knows?
Yeah.
It's
But,
part of a national, it's a national group and you get
It
a
is.
lot
It's
of,
a national group that's been around a long time.
yeah, I mean, and I
Right.
think it gives you access to resources and scholarship opportunities and things like, I mean, it's a leadership program. I don't really know, but it's not a local. you
No,
know.
it's not a local thing. It's not a local
Yeah.
thing. And, kids they have to have a certain grade point average and all the rest of that stuff to be invited to join. So what they'd like to do is eliminate that cost for kids so that they can join. So, and it's $500. So how do we feel about that?
I think it's great. It's
I
within
think it's
budget
great.
and amazing.
575 doesn't go into 500 even though, right? So.
Well, I guess what they're also, no, it doesn't, because we don't know how many kids are going to need the money. And what they want to do is be able to offer them that money if they've been invited to join, then they want to.
Partial funding then, yeah, okay.
Yeah. Okay, so the next one is.
Can I just ask a question? Does that organization have a reduced rate or a scholarship rate?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that does seem odd, Janet, that they wouldn't, like lock people out of joining a academic achievement society because you don't have enough money to join, yeah.
I'm always suspicious of those things, quite honestly. That's just me. I'm the cynic.
Well, I mean,
my daughter's in National Honor Society. I don't know if anyone else's is, but I don't remember having to pay $75. I think we were asked to make a donation and we could donate more, I think, to help other people pay the costs of like the membership and the supplies and the stuff they do. So I think that they have they do fundraisers to pay for that. But I think they're also trying to make it for those families who can't make the donation, which I think was $20, can join without feeling like they have to. But I didn't pay $75 for National Honor Society. Maybe I was supposed to and I missed that, but no one's told me I need to go back and pay it. So
okay. So then
See, they
how do we
had you
feel about
covered.
it? Yeah, right. Is this still a thumbs up?
I think so, absolutely. This is our reality today. They need to pay that $75 fee. So yes, I say yes. Yes.
Okay. All right, then now we're moving into one that is someone that has anyone heard of the Unified Sports and Basketball and Cheer Group at school? Because I'm unfamiliar with it. Is anyone familiar with it? I'm getting like blank stares, so I'm going to say no one knows what it is.
I know it exists.
Huh?
I know it exists. I feel like I saw a social media post about it.
Okay, so I'm going to read this because, well, they filled out the application as the Affinity group, and that's inaccurate. They're not an Affinity group. So, and I already had an exchange with Vice Principal Murray that we've moved it into the club category as opposed to the Affinity group. But they're asking for something very specific, $574.98. And it's not really broken down why, so I want to put this one on hold until I get more information. It's a group of students, a blending of students that have disabilities and students who are not disabled. And they're looking to make, from my understanding is they're looking to get t-shirts and to sort of create a more community sense and a more unified look to the group so that the kids can feel as though they're part of a team. Because
What about the boosters?
Well, I think that's exactly something I think we could hand over to the boosters.
I am waiting to actually hear back from the boosters regarding this.
Okay,
And
this
JJ, they asked for over
specifically?
$500.
Yeah, and then that also will go along with the girls. I got 2 applications from the girls lacrosse. And that was the other thing we talked about, right? About handing this over to the boosters, maybe to buy them uniforms, because it's a school team. It's not a club. So I don't know. And the 2 applications, one.
But aren't they on the list of organizations though, the girls lacrosse?
Yeah,
I mean,
but well, here's the deal. I got 2 applications. One was for $200 and one was for $500. And it is for uniforms, because their uniforms are a number of years old. They describe them as physically uncomfortable. And they would like to have one uniform because they have a JV uniform and a varsity uniform, because they don't have enough for everybody. So, but I don't know if it's 500 they need or 200 they need. So I just got the second application just today. So I need to have this clarified. So we need to hold off on this to find out what they actually need. So I'm holding
right,
off on that.
so find out what they actually need and whether or not this is an expense that the boosters would take on because it's sports related, right?
So
and
we
if
have-
the booster says no, then we continue with it, right? Because
Exactly.
they are on the list of student organizations and they filled out
Exactly.
an application and we got the money. So they should get their uniforms because they asked for them and they need them. It sounds like they are in need.
It sounds like they need them. And so that's 2 grant applications we're going to try and get the boosters to take on. Okay, and then if they say no, then we'll revisit. Sounds good?
Okay, and hopefully we can do this really fast.
Yeah.
Too, right? Turn it around real fast.
Yeah, it'd be nice to get the girls their uniforms, but I mean, I don't know how long it'll take them to order them, but and their season is about to end, so it's probably more than likely for next year for the lacrosse team.
Their season's just beginning.
It is?
Yeah.
Funny, because that's not what they said in here.
I think I just saw on Instagram that I think their season.
That's what I thought. I saw.
It's a spring sport. Yeah.
Right. Well, that's why I think we have two different applications coming in from people that are, the left hand isn't talking to the right hand. So let's get it
Okay, and
clarified.
that's why we review the applications and
Exactly,
we have the teacher advisor information on there so that you can go and have those conversations.
Okay, so Melissa, now we're in the affinity group section.
Can I ask? I'm sorry.
Hold on.
can
Hang on. Yeah. We need to finish talking about this. Carolyn mentioned a great point. And that's why we are waiting to hear from boosters before we move forward with the uniforms, because if we approve getting uniforms for them, we could then face a backlash where every sports team starts coming to us and asking for us to get them new uniforms. So we're going to hold off to say yes on these until we hear back from boosters.
Okay.
Just for clarification there. And then Kristen, I think you had something you want to say too.
I was just going back to the NHS because I just wanted to make sure you saw, Leslie, that Janet said she found an email and it was a suggested donation of $20. Did their application say something about $75?
It said it in the email, not on the application.
Okay. Anyway, so as long as you see that, I have no objection to anything of these, but I'm just wanted to make sure that was part of it.
Absolutely.
Well, so
All
can
right,
we go
put
back
the
to the
link.
advisor for that National Merit Scholarship and ask for some clarification about
Absolutely.
how
Sure.
that's used? Because I mean, it could be that we are donating as a school to the national organization. It could be that it's for individuals. It could be a lot of things. So it would be nice to get some clarification on
We'll do.
how
I'll
the
send them
money
an
is
email
done.
out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay.
How many,
So-
do we know how many students are in the National Honor Society? I'm sorry, going back to that.
Well, let me see what they say back here. 125 students.
Wowee, holy moly. They're
Yeah.
their own class.
Go
That's
Warriors.
amazing. Super Warriors. Holy
Yeah, yeah.
wow. I can't even say the words right. I'm so excited to.
So I added the link for that application, the Slack link for the NHS application to the chat. And so you guys can actually click on it and read it yourselves so you can see what they say. And it looks like the funds that they're talking about are not the National Honor Society. It's their club's funds that they use. They use that fee to pay for things that they do. So they've waived it because of COVID for a lot of people. So it's not the National Honor Society, like in the, grand scheme of things nationally. It's the local club that has the fees.
So I have 2 Affinity applications. One is from the Jewish Student Union, and they were asking for 100.
Wait, let's not talk about those.
Okay.
Right, because the Affinity groups are all being discussed with a different group.
And if anybody
of
wants
people.
to see the applications, they're on Slack.
Yeah, so we got them on there. So the Affinity groups, they're on everybody had the same deadline. Everybody had the same opportunity to think about what they wanted to do with the money, right? So on Friday, when we had the deadline, the Student Equity Council, they actually met and they talked about what they were going to do. And so Vice Principal Sean Murray sent me an email, right? And I'm just going to read his email, right? We had a good meeting and have a proposal about applying to these grants. I am working with the groups on applications and will share with you as soon as they are complete next week. Thank you, in all caps. That sounds really good to me. And I know that there are a lot of different ways that this can play out. So we don't necessarily want to dictate how the affinity groups go about distributing this money. But we do have certain, guidelines that we are going to adhere to. So I'm just really excited to have this meeting next week and to see how it played out. Okay. Does anybody else have anything else they want to add on that before we move on? Okay, well, I want to thank everyone for all the work that they've been doing with these grants. It's just so fabulous to be at this point where money's going to be going out soon. Okay, so our next conversation is going to be for our spring fundraiser. Okay, and I recognize myself because Christina already had to leave. Okay, so we are doing our spring fundraiser, and right now the date for the event is Thursday, April 21st. Thursday, April 21st. Our kickoff meeting, if anybody wants to join us, is Wednesday, February 23rd. So next Wednesday, February 23rd is the kickoff meeting for our spring fundraiser, which is Thursday, April 21st. And we're going to be using Marquam, just like we did last year. Okay, currently we haven't signed the contract yet because there are a few typos on there. I keep finding typos. And as soon as everything is cool, we're going to sign that contract, get off the money, and then move on with the event. But it's pretty much set in stone. Those are the dates. And that's all the information I have right now. So if anybody wants to get in on this, hit me up and we'll send you information so that you can come and join us in the kickoff meeting. Any more questions? Any questions on spring fundraiser? All right, see, that was fast. Very good. Okay, so our next report is for the senior graduation party, which takes place on the evening of graduation, which is Thursday, June 7th. And Colette Livermore is the 2022 senior party planner, and she is here to update us.
Hello, everybody. I'll try to keep this really brief. we had our first meeting last week. Gosh, I'm at a blur of how long ago that was. And we did a great session on brainstorming some activities and looking at how we can make this party the best it can be. We have an opportunity to use the space, hopefully at the loft at 8th Avenue. Through Vibrant Table is still what we're looking at. Not sure the status of the contract yet. Melissa and I haven't connected about that yet. And we are getting some different questions answered about, rainy day options and things like that too. We are probably looking at lower ticket sales than I first reported out over Slack, and I apologize for that. Nicole says that we're a lot lower than we were expecting it to be, so we will probably be looking at some fundraising for sure. If the PTA knows how much they're willing to give out there to this party, we'll be able to figure out how much we need to raise. And the way that we're working this is we have the committee is looking at all the different activities and pricing and comparing different vendors and things like that. And then we'll make a decision on what activities will actually happen at the event, and then figure out, like, based on the budget, what we're able to provide for them. We're just really excited to have the event local and really fair and home on their own. The committee did decide that 8 to midnight was a good time to have this party, and we will have volunteers setting up during the afternoon and then cleaning up. We have probably an hour after the party actually ends to be out of the space. So we'll have a team for setup and cleanup, and then shifts during the party to run the activities and be around, kind of like making sure everything's going smoothly. We have, let's see, what else? Ideas around themes too. We have, it's just kind of just getting started. We just had our first meeting. Our next one's in a couple weeks in March, where we're coming together to make some decisions about everything and start making some reservations and looking at contracts for any vendors and things like that. So the date of the graduation party is right after graduation on Tuesday, June 7th. It'll be from 8 to midnight, and we will just allow for students to get there as soon as they can after graduation. I think graduation is supposed to be ending between 6:30 and 7 at downtown at Province Park. So it's just a matter of timing for everybody to get back on the east side, get changed their clothes, and get over to the party. Amy's idea, short-term idea, let's start reminding emails on e-news for gold card. Oh, okay, yeah, senior class is doing her hallway sales this week, right, Nicole? And so they'll be selling more tickets this week, and I don't know how long, if they're gonna extend it or not. We always have kids show up at the event who did not buy a ticket, and we're not going to turn them away, but we also ask that they do contribute to the event, even if they're just walking up to the event. We had that happen a couple times last year. Only a few kids, honestly, a handful maybe. It wasn't that big a deal to get them directed in the right way to be able to contribute towards the party. Volunteer needs will start to figure itself out as we are identifying what the event's going to look like in the evening and the activities. So we'll be reaching out through Lucretia's team to be able to outreach to all the volunteers that we need. We're not going to need a ton. The space isn't huge, and it's not an all-night party, so it's going to be a little easier on the volunteer front there. So, and it's not going to be, a big space where we're going to have a ton of things happening all over a building like we usually do. So it'll be a lot easier and simpler. So any questions? Did I miss something?
So I have a question. In addition to the hallway sales, that the ticket sales that they're doing, What if we also advertise the link so that it's not just a certain moment that they have to buy? Like they can, like if we advertise the link in e-news, then parents can go, you know, and buy their tickets. It's not just about going into the school during the hallway ticket sales. If you miss it, then you don't get your ticket. Just keeping it available.
It's not that they don't get their ticket, it's a discounted rate right now. I think it goes up after this time. So that's kind of what the push is to get it at this discounted rate, because I think it goes up after
Well,
this.
we could advertise it as such, whatever the current rate is for, you know, and put the deadline, you know, in the ad saying, hey, you want that cheap ticket, you got to buy it now. I mean, it's on school pay, isn't it?
Yes. Yep.
How large is
and
that
this is-
class? The senior
That's a great
class?
question. I don't know that number.
398. So I actually just looked in Parent View. There's 398 12th graders identified. That doesn't mean that's the entire class of 2022. It's dependent on who graduates, and there may be some 11th graders who are planning to graduate too. So just a reminder, we try to call them graduates, not seniors, because of that. We are Cleveland strong, and there's so many people who find their diploma in so many different ways. I just to note, this is not necessarily a Colette action item, but just we as a PTA reminding families of the things that we're easing back into normal times. So things like get your gold card, and here's how to do it, by the way, on school pay. Us as a community reminding families of that, just because it's not top of mind, and for those who have 12th graders, maybe not something that they are familiar with. So it's been a couple of years since we've done gold cards. That reminder, and then Amy, to your question, no one's turned away, as Colette mentioned. So we figure out a way to make sure everyone can be a part of the celebration.
And so are we charging $30, or is not we, but is that what's being charged? Is $30 per person? Is that the?
That's how much the gold card is.
Mhm.
And I've never been part of those conversations of how much that gold card comes back to the graduation party. So that's not something.
Do you
that
like the leek and potato soup? It's there on the counter,
Oh, yum.
Mark.
So I guess I'm just thinking if it's,
Potato soup, I'm starving.
yeah, me too. 400 people times 30 is $12,000. So, and we budgeted 15,000. So we're not going to on sales of tickets, we're not going to, you know, reach our target. So it's probably something that we're going to need to discuss is, you know, how much additional funds the PTA would contribute. I think as I laid out in kind of in a Slack message, last year this year we budgeted spending about $3,000 or providing about $3,000 of support. So there's a good chance we're going to be looking at more. Last year we were also, I think we didn't spend the full amount that we had budgeted, but we needed to support the party with an additional.
And that was, Dan, I will just say that last year's board made that decision with the idea that we wanted to support that class under duress and challenging times, to let them have a moment of happy. I will say, I just sent out a note to a few senior parents, just like, hey, by the way, Colette's organizing this thing, and I'm getting notes back tonight about where can I donate to help. So if someone on the PTA could set up a text to give for celebrating the class of 2022, and we could start activating that, I think Colette and a few of us on that committee would be happy to get that out there too, just to help facilitate some direct asks.
Can I ask a historical question? In years past, pre-COVID, did the PTA typically donate towards the senior class party? And if so, what was the usual amount?
From my experiences, you know, ticket sales did cover some of it. It never covered all of it.
Okay.
And the PTA would just kind of like what is on your budget. They gave a budget number, and whatever the senior class was able to raise through whatever ticket sales and other fundraisers that they their fundraisers usually went to their prom. It never went to to this party. So if they raised this much money, then this budget number that the PTA had put out there, they made up that difference. That's how that's done in the past.
Okay.
How this is moving this year, because we know that fundraising hasn't been as plentiful as it usually has been at this school. So, this is where I'm working in what has traditionally happened, trying to get my brain to work in a post-COVID way is hard for me right now. So I'm trying to, meet halfway. I know that the PTA has some money to be able to put towards this. They just need to figure out how much they can. And then we need to figure out what our activity level is and how much we need to spend on this event, and then how much we need to raise. So, that's really what it's coming down to at this point.
Okay. Thank you.
Right,
Sure.
and currently, the contract that we got for this location is $11,000. All right, so already that's above what is being brought in through ticket sales. All right, so we're already paying. I believe I heard Nicole. Hey, Nicole, are you around with the baby?
And
Nicole,
I don't
baby?
mean to start a war here, but I was told that the budget was $18,000. So,
Hold on
that's
a
how I
second.
started
Hold
this
on a
whole
second, Colette.
thing.
Colette, please, hold on a second. I want to ask Nicole something. Nicole,
Okay.
you there? Okay.
Yes.
Nicole had, to Robin's question, Nicole had done some research as to the funding of the party, right? Do you remember that, Nicole? I think you had mentioned that like some, like the budgets would hover like $21,000. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I can pull up that note. So I looked back over the previous PTA budgets, and it looked like in the year of 2014, 2015, the PTA's budget for the senior grad party, or this end of the year party, whatever you want to call it, was $21,700. And 15, 16, it was 20,000. They had anticipated $14,000 in ticket sales that year. As opposed to this year, we anticipated $15,000. They actually had a higher budget with lower ticket sales. And that was duplicated as well in 16, 17. Again, $20,000 budget with $14,000 anticipated ticket sales. In 17, 18, the budget was raised to $21,000 for the senior party, and the ticket sales, they only budgeted that they would probably bring in $12,000, but their actual bottom dollar, which not all the budgets were, I wasn't able to get the actual end of the year actual spending. A lot of them I could only find the documents for the beginning of the year budget. So that was just the projected. But the 2017, 2018, I did find the end of the year spending, and their total ticket sales actually brought in $14,390. So that's a significant increase as compared to what we are seeing right now. And in 18, 19, ticket sales totals were $14,789. It's a weird number, so I'm not really sure how they got that, but that's what was reported in the budget that I found. And then obviously we haven't been able to do anything since then, but 1920 was when we had the $18,000 budget, which was the same from the year before. The 1819 was 18,000, and the projected ticket income would be $15,000. So we've just kind of copy and pasted since the 2018, 2019. The budget for this party has just been copy and pasted, and we're not we're not bringing in that amount right now. We've so far as of Monday, the bookkeeper Jennifer Walker reports that we've sold 111 tickets. That the sales go through Friday this week, so they haven't got a final number, but these are all the discounted tickets. So she said that none of them have been full price $50. They've all been the $30 to $40 ticket sales. And the Total income that we've made from these is just over $3,000 so far. So that's a significant drop from the historical $14,000. Any other questions on that?
Go on, Christian. What's your question?
I don't have a question. I have a comment, which is, I think what we need to do is, as Colette has said, we need to decide how much is this PTA willing to give the senior party. In my opinion, I do not have a senior, but I don't feel like this is the year to cut back drastically. These kids have been through it. Let's celebrate them. That's what we raise money for as a PTA, is for our kids. So whatever that amount is, I think we decide what that is. And then I think, you know, Amy just said she's hearing from people who are happy to make contributions. Colette has said she's willing to fundraise. It seems to me we make a decision. What are we willing to give the committee so they know and they can start going with that and moving forward? That's what I think.
Can I throw a number out and we'll just start the bidding at $10,000?
Hold on a second. Amy, did you have something to say? Did you have your hand raised?
Thank you for noticing my body language. I was just thinking, like, there's 3 action items here, right? One is exactly what Kristen said. Assuming no fundraising, what's the PTA willing to take on for this activity so the committee can proceed with direction? 2, let's do what we do well as a PTA, communicate to those families as a reminder what the gold card is and the opportunity to support your students' year-end celebrations if they are a class of 2022 member. And then 3, let's set up a way to donate that makes it easy. And so doing a Give Lively text to give, if someone on the board could provide that, I think those 3 action items would be a really proactive place for Colette then to go run and lead what needs to be done in the next few months.
Can I add on to that? I don't know what foundation is doing with their individual outreach, you know, sort of targeted donor appeal sort of thing, but with everything that everybody's been through, that a specific ask to some folks who are graduating their youngest student, and the final, you know, a lot of if you give to the foundation right now, it's not going to benefit your kid, right? Like a parent of a senior with no younger kid has no incentive to give to foundation this year. So maybe they're a little bit undertapped in that regard. But if they have one last hurrah, make it on the party. I don't know, just, I don't have a senior, so I don't have as many contacts in that class, but just some thoughts.
Okay, we've talked a lot tonight, so I want to move this discussion along, right? Nicole, you were talking about, you had a number there, right? So we've collected, what are we saying, that we've collected around $3,000 already from the kids, right? If between now and the end we get like double that amount, if we do end up with like half the seniors at the party, that's like $6,000, right?
No, we have $6,000 already from gold card sales.
Okay.
And I've called that out.
We don't. That's what I talked to the bookkeeper about. We don't. I'm not sure. We have to look back through our records, Dan, about where that is coming from. But the bookkeeper says
the check was deposited. I'm sorry, but the check was deposited, so it's sitting in our account. So we received a check for $6,000 for gold card sales in 2021. And so we have $6,000. It's reflected in our accounts. So anything that we raise now is in addition to that. So if we're going to see another 3,000, then that's going to be, we're going to have $9,000 in there. Now, if you're saying, Nicole, that the check for the gold card that was written by Cleveland High School to the PTA in the autumn of 2021 was written in error, by mistake, then that's a whole different issue. But we do have the money.
Okay, so are we saying that we're getting $6,000 from the kids? And then,
I'm saying that we've received $6,000 in gold card sales from CHS for the 21-22 year. And that was received in calendar year 2021.
I think that this particular part needs to be tabled until later when we can review it, because I spoke with the PT or with the bookkeeper, and that isn't a number that matches up with her stuff. So we just need to investigate this a little further on our end, and then we'll come back to you guys with the actual numbers. But it does sound like what Amy was saying and what Colette was saying is that you guys want a number that we're willing to donate, not what the ticket sales are, but what we're willing to donate, so that you guys know a number to go ask for donations. Does that sound accurate? You guys want to ask for like a total number of donations? Like, we need to raise $5,000.
Yeah, I mean, if we don't know the number for gold card sales, if that is like maybe a possibly number of close to $6,000, okay. Then if PTA is giving the party $10,000, are we saying that $16,000? Is that what we're saying? Or are you raising up to 10,000? So that would be that you guys are only giving 4,000. Do you see where the difference is and how this is being talked about that I'm not super clear
So
on?
yeah. So let me try to clarify this a little bit for you. Our budget was saying that we thought that we would raise $15,000 in ticket sales and that the PTA would provide $3,000. And in the past, when we've had a $20,000 budget and we've made, $14,000 or $15,000 in ticket sales, the PTA has covered that additional $5,000 to $6,000. So what I was suggesting was that instead of $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000, the PTA will provide $10,000. So you have the ticket sales, what the PTA gives, and then what we fundraise. Does that make sense? So we can get to that $18,000.
I would move that the board advised for that kind of an action.
I see that 10,000 from the PTA, a minimum of 6,000 from the kids, and then whatever else is fundraised. And that gets us to that 18,000. Colette, how does that sound to you? How is that working out for you?
I think that's a great start, honestly. To have just this much conversation about it is, helping me kind of formulate things in my head. So if we're saying that nothing more than $16,000 from gold sales and PTA, okay, then our committee, based on the information that we're gathering about the activities and the costs that we're incurring, we know how much we need to raise. That's what I need to know. So
why are you saying 16 when we're saying 18? Where does the 16 come from?
6,000 from the gold sale cards and then 10,000 from PTA equals 16,000.
And additional fundraising
that the committee is doing. Is that what you're saying?
Can get to the 18,000.
Right. And I'm saying maybe we need more than that. I'm just saying we're going to fundraise the amount that we need to get, is what I'm saying, that the committee is needing to figure out. So we're not at that point yet because we're just getting started. But if we know that we have at least $16,000, then we can start moving forward with making some of these commitments to the vendors and to the people that we need to put reservations in for. So then we can start fundraising for the more that we need.
Based on this information, I'd like to make a motion that the board approve investing $10,000 with assumption of a $6,000 gold card sales this year, of an estimated $16,000 budgeted, that if the committee fundraises for more, they can then build their budget beyond that 16 at this point. That's my motion.
I second that motion.
And so, yeah, can we discuss this first? Because I think it's nice to spend the money, but I showed you earlier in the meeting what we were going to be leaving behind for next year's PTA, and it was $22,000. So what we're talking about doing without absent any additional fundraising would be we'd be leaving next year's PTA with around $10,000. So, and that's in total. We're not talking again about checking account or, you know, money market account. We're talking about, this is our, you know, what our seed money for the PTA next year. And I think we, you know, we need to think about that if that's sufficient, because we want to be doing things like teacher grants early in the year. We're not doing a lot of fundraising early in the year. So, you know, $10,000 might sound good, but it might not be something that we can afford.
Right. Well, it's a substantially less, and I think this is good, but it's substantially less than what balances had been in the past. And I think it's been necessary and wise to spend down accrued balances that happily were there from a whole bunch of reasons for these tough times of the last 2 years. And that's been great. But the trajectory has got to recognize that each of these is a one-off.
Well, and the other thing is that we still have your $10,000 seed money is based on 0 fundraising dollars coming in, right? And we did bring in $10,000 last year from the fundraiser, didn't we? The spring fundraiser. So a lot of the money comes from that event, right, Amy?
No, we've already budgeted. That's already in our budget for this year, the fundraising.
Let me ask the board this. This is maybe a suggested edit to my motion based on current discussion. Because I do think the board needs, expediting a decision here would be good, just to keep energy and momentum going. Is the board willing to adopt a budget for the senior party of 16,000 with the assumption and knowledge that more fundraising could be had through gold card sales and potentially from direct asks to those who want to donate specifically to this? Could the board adopt a budget of 16,000 that the committee could go forth and plan for based on the discussion right now, knowing that we adopted a budget of 18, but that there's concerns currently about resources for moving forward with 18 as the current budget item? Would that be a more comfortable direction?
It would be 16, and then if there's fundraising, that would could potentially offset that 16, as well as potentially go over the 16, depending on the fundraising. Someone might, is that what you're suggesting?
Yeah, and I don't know if that's the right suggestion here. I'm just throwing it out there for food for thought.
Yeah, I think that question needs to be worked out. I mean, I think it's the right, what are we looking at here?
We're looking at our check for gold card sales for 66,105 that was written in September of this year. So we have received 6,000. If we raise another 3,000, that gives us 9,000 that's been raised through various sales. And then we're talking about in the neighborhood of, you know, $7,000, $6,000. So, you know, I think that seems reasonable. That's in keeping with last year. Last year we funded $4,600.
But this is based on $30 each from the students. Is that what that $6,000 is?
The gold cards are $45. $30 of it is supposed to come to the graduation party, is what I've been told. So that's where this, I think the gold card number is going at $45. I paid $45 for my kid's gold card at the beginning of school. So this is where like I said, I've not been part of those conversations. I've been told $30 of that comes out of that $45 to go towards graduation party.
Right. And all the funds that we receive from gold card sales go into our funding for the senior party.
Yeah, kind of 100%, right? It all goes there.
So
Yeah,
I
that-
actually have a question, Dan, based on that premise of the two pieces of income, the one that you reported as a check and that Nicole has mentioned, even though there needs to be some clarification there, and that might just be a newer bookkeeper and tracking those things. Do you feel confident with the current PTA budget of 18,000 for this particular activity?
I feel confident that we're going to be able to fund that this year. I'm not confident that, we're leaving next year's PTA with enough seed money. I mean, I think we need to look at kind of what our spending profile is for the year, and it's kind of front end loaded, and our revenue raising is back end loaded, and that's fine as long as we had a big cash balance. But if we don't have a big cash balance, that becomes an issue.
So is it a better board approach than to assume the budget line item stays the same? There's two actions that we ask for committee follow-up. One is push the gold card, push the gold card, push the gold card on all the ways we can. Set up a way to donate to the party for those who want to, so that we've got that clarity and can have that opportunity for those who want to do that. And then the board take a closer look at what needs to be done to plan for next year, and that the spring fundraiser is a really important moment for that kind of action. Knowing that we have been buying down the balance that from the amazing donations of 4 and 5 years ago, and it's time to start thinking more forward for those in the spring who want to look towards next year. Is that a keep as is for budget line item, but to ask the committee to take two actions to help with fiscal responsibility, and then in other ways we can look towards spring fundraiser to help support planning for next year.
So when you say keep as is, you're saying keep the budget at 15,000 or 18,000.
I believe it's currently at 18, and so I'm
Right.
just suggesting, is that the right number, or should the board vote to adjust that number so that the committee can move forward with the right information and plan?
Well, we had $3,000 budgeted for a bus, I believe, right? And I don't think we're going to need a bus. So, I mean, if we don't need a bus, then it seems reasonable to say, let's get rid of that in the, take away $3,000. Then we're talking about $15,000. And if we've already raised 6 and we have some level of confidence that we're going to get around 3, that puts us in 9,000. Then we're talking about supplementing to the to $6,000, which is really only $3,000 more than we were going to supplement before, and that seems pretty doable.
Yeah.
So could we agree to, at this point, that we maybe use a $15,000 budget, and that the PTA will commit to fund 6,000 of that, and use that as a starting point? And then if anything that's in addition that's raised above 15 could be spent on the party if additional funds are raised.
I would like to amend my budget to reflect the comments of the treasurer, or amend my motion to reflect the comments of the treasurer, adjusting the budget line item to 15,000 of the PTA, and any addition from the committee would go to help support the.
You got that, JJ? we need to.
I didn't. I need that.
So
low
it's basically, JJ, it's at the most base level. It's adjusting the line item budget for senior party and the PTA budget to $15,000, reflective of where we are as a fundraising situation this year.
Yeah, we'll strike the funding for the bus in our budget, which is $3,000. So we'll strike the bus line item in our senior party budget.
I'll second Amy's motion.
Okay, we have a motion that has been seconded. Do we still have a quorum here? Can we verify the quorum, please? We need 7 board members. Have we got 7 board members?
Is this a general meeting so general members can vote too?
No, this is board members. We're doing a board members right now. Do we have 7 board members? Okay, very good. Do we still recognize the motion that's on the table, or do we need to read it again? All right. If we also recognize the motion, I would like everybody to write their answers in the chat. Yay or nay. What we are voting for right now is we're going to make the budget $15,000. $6,000 of that will come from the PTA. Anything additional will go right back into the party. Okay. Voting is happening right now. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yay, the A's have it. Thank you. All right, Colette. I know that was hard, girl. Getting to this point.
I'm losing battery, so I don't have my volume, but can someone
Okay.
sign up, work with Colette to set up a Give Lively for text to give? Let's get that going.
I could do that. I have access to that. We can work on that. All right, very good. Thank you, everyone. Okay, we do have a couple of other items on the agenda that I think we don't even need to talk about because we've been doing that on emails. So the boosted conversation, that we'll do that another time. The pennants, we're getting pennants for the graduates. The PTA is doing it again. We'll talk more about that later, but those things are already ordered. So thank you, Amy, for that. I know Amy wanted to talk a little bit about board recruitment. Amy, do you want to do that in this meeting or do you want to do that in the next
You're going to
meeting?
get an email from me. You've been warned.
Okay.
Go recruit a friend for board next year.
Okay, very good. So that is going to happen. What I need to do right now is I want to get a motion. I want to put a motion on the table to use $1,344 from the PTA's discretionary fund to sponsor a new stadium sign. We have $2,500 in our PTA discretionary fund and $1,344 of that we can use for the new stadium sign. Would somebody like to second that?
I believe based on, I don't know if the president can make the motion, but I'm happy to
Okay.
support what you shared, Melissa, as a motion to support.
Okay,
Second.
very good. So we have the motion that has been seconded, and right now we are voting to use $1,344 from the PTA discretionary fund to sponsor a new stadium sign. Let's vote, everyone. Put your A's or nays in the chat. JJ, what do you say? Do we have them? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep. Okay, the A's have it. Yay! Coach Smith will be very happy to hear that. The other motion I want to discuss is the putting $1,000 for the student leadership. What do we think about that? The student leadership $1,000 expense budget. Can we talk about that real fast, please?
Well, that's
Does
for next
anybody-
year. Is that for next year? Was that what we heard for next year? Or is this a different?
Yeah, that would be,
Yeah.
would be,
So I'll just make a note that Melissa, based on the time and the information received tonight, that the board, when drafting the budget for the May meeting, because my recommendation is you adopt a budget to bridge the gap for the summer, that we consider this as a board then and table this discussion for then, based on timing and everything else. But that's my current suggestion, because that needs to be baked into the budget for next year.
I agree. That sounds like a great idea to table this discussion because she doesn't need the funds right now, but it's something that we do need to take care of. Okay. Thank you. I like that idea a lot. Okay. I think we're done. Is there any further business? Because I'm ready to wrap this up, right? Everybody's ready for me. Okay, so here we go. Okay.
I just want to offer that I'm here. School board member Ailey Lowry is here. If anyone had any questions you wanted to ask me, I came faithfully to school board or to PTA meetings last year, and this is the first one I've been able to make this school year. So I'm sorry about that. I am a member of the PTA, but I try to show up at all of them. But it's been a busy year. So if you have
and this was such a long one too.
That's okay. It's my 5th school related meeting of the day. But if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those, or just know you can always reach out to me. I'll drop my email in the chat. So feel free to email me if you have questions or thoughts or need help with something.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you. I love that you're part of our community. Okay, everyone, bear with me 2 more minutes while I wrap us up here. Okay,
Carolyn, did you have a question for me? I saw you raise your hand. Okay, no. Okay, good.
As there is no further business, I'm going to close up with some announcements. Our general meeting will adjourn after that. Okay, check emails Monday morning for PTA e-news. It's full of announcements and opportunities within the CHS community. Submissions for e-news are Mondays, are noons on Friday. You see, I've been talking too long now, right? Meeting's done. Salud. Look out for volunteer opportunities like campus greeters. Visit us on our website at chspdx.org to stay up to date with the latest happenings. Follow us on Instagram at Cleveland High School PTA and Facebook on CHS Families. Let's do our part to keep Cleveland open and safe for everyone. Please wear your masks properly when at school. And the next PTA general meeting is Wednesday, February. Oh, no, wait, that's today. I got that wrong. See? March 16, 2022. All right, everyone. Our general meeting is adjourned. Thank you for hanging in there. I'll see you on the emails.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Right.
JJ, I'll wait till you tell me we're done.